So we had a failure in the steering of the 4runner the other day. You would have seen the earlier video where I did have to change the cups on the side of the road. What I didn't realise was that the ball was really badly worn. So, you know, a couple of hours later after that wheel, the play was just as bad, if not worse actually. So this is the genuine spare one that we had for bullet truck, which we won't be needing anymore. So we'll fit that up. As you can see, that's a round ball. And this one here is an elongated with a groove ball. There's no way that's going to hold the cups tight. So also, while we're in here, we're going to do a few more mods. Brake upgrade that we're looking at doing. We're going to put Ln106 calipers and rotors on. I've got Tony from Shire's Fabrication sending me some IFS hub spacers. So we're going to put some IFS hub spacers on this too and get rid of the 40mm spacer we're running. Now before we get started on this, somewhere I got to go.
Are you off to Denny?
We're on a day trip, aren't we kids?
Yep.
We're incognito in Mum's car. I have to get a COVID test.
Why's that?
Because I was in Big W in a particular time where there was somebody that had COVID. So I'm a casual contact. So you have to be tested. It'll be all good.
He was trying to get balloons for Nicholas's birthday party.
That's right, balloons for Nicholas's birthday party. It's a big line.
Are we still in the same position as last time?
No, we've moved up a little bit, but we've still got a bit to go. Getting closer. All right, so we got the old J-arm off. What we'll do is we're going to remove the shock to give us a bit more room. I'll be changing these in any case. Now the hardest part's probably getting it off with the cone washers. Right, so you line up the trunnion bearing by manipulating the hub a little bit. Get it in position. So these are the cone washers and there's a spot for them. That's what makes it difficult to come off and also keeps it sturdy while it's on. Nuts and washers, arms on nice and tight. We'll get the rock rod hooked up. This is a Snake Racing chromoly rock rod and these are 80 series tie rod ends. A little bit overkill for this vehicle, but it's what we run on bullet truck. Split pin in, so that hub now is secure. No need for the jack anymore. So this is the RS 5000 Rancho, and this is the part that we're going to be putting in. So they've stopped making the 5000s in that size. We've gone with the 9000, which is adjustable. Same length, but only this one is actually in good condition. It hasn't been flogged, whereas this one's got no compression at all. No rebound either, or very little rebound. So the car should drive a lot nicer with the 9000s in. Typically also you'll find little dings on the driver's side inside of the shock, and that generally happens because the J-arm there, it tends to hit it. Now we've pushed this diff forward, which has put that bottom mount in a different position, so it should hit a lot less. Also, Brad from Outback Signs has made us up some cool stickers, some Team Bullet off-road racing ones, and some important ones to follow us on our 2 pages. And he's made the design to suit what he's done for us in the past. Now we're not going to run the backing plate, but I need to make up that thickness. So we'll just hack in here with a grinder and clean it up, and that'll be the spacer that we put. We also unbolt this caliper bracket and we zip tie the brake line to that hole there eventually. And we'll just clean all these edges up, and that'll be what goes on after the spindle. These are the 80 series axles we're going to be throwing in bullet truck. The upgrade that Brian did with the 3/8 bolts, 3/8 UNF, and he's actually countersunk the axle a little bit too. Also with this, you'll get the disc, the rotor, to fit nicely over it without having to have machined any of it. Drop drag links on, the new shocks on, bigger caliper on. Carnage in there. Torque rod's tried to rip the bracket off the diff. We'll have to re-weld that. What we'll do now is we'll take this backing plate off and put that spacer on there I made up. So that takes up the thickness of the backing plate. No dirt or mud can get caught in between the rotor and the backing plate anymore. Not that this car does a lot of touring anymore. Now what we lose while taking the back plate off that we need is this bracket which holds the brake line. So what I'll do when I bolt this caliper back on, I'll bolt that bracket that I took off the old backing plate and I'll be able to secure the brake line to that point there. Now that's about as far as we can go on this project. I just got notification that Tony's just sent the spacers down. Perfect timing, mate. What we might do, we might just temporarily bolt the caliper up to the housing there just so it doesn't fall off. And we might even change the pads in it. But let's have a little comparison. Bit of a comparison. So I guess you're wondering why it's called a brake upgrade. So look at the disc off the Ln60 65 series Hilux. You can see that the disc, the thickness difference, this is off the Ln106. It's vented to keep cool. Diameter's the same, but the thickness is why you can't just bolt these on without doing the caliper as well. So let's have a look at the caliper. First of all, look at the pad. So that's the Ln60, 65, 67 pad. There's the Ln106 pad, so it's much bigger. The other major thing is the piston sizes. So we've got, this is the early model with the small second piston, and then the Ln106 has got the bigger pistons. So there's more stopping power and more surface of pad on the disc. More comparisons. Before I put the final coat of paint on, these are my IFS rears, which we're going to put in the rear of Bullet. So just to give you an example, and you can see clearly here how bad I've W'd these. These were the rears I had on it already. Now these I had made up. You can see the difference in the length. So there's your center pin. You can see how much longer the IFS are, especially towards the back. That's why you need a longer shackle to get that angle good. But this particular spring, I had this custom made. So this here, from that point back, is 20 mil longer than a factory Ln106 spring. We use the 150 mil extended shackle. So then what we have here, this is a factory 106. All right, so we don't need to put that there. You can see clearly how much longer the IFS rears are. That's why they work so well. And you can definitely see the W in that. So the bottom one is your factory Ln106 length. That's the one I had made up. So that's your fixed side. And this here's your shackle size. So you can see that I'm 20 mil longer. And what that does, that lets the spring flex better. You get a better shackle angle. All right, another example I have here. Again, the fixed point, center pin. This pack here I had made up 25 mil longer from the center to the shackle side, where we run the longer extended shackle, the Snake Racing one. So they're my three variables that I used to run, but now we won't be needing any of those options. What we'll be needing is we'll be needing these factory Ln106 rears for our rough that we're going to do when we do the high steer. So we've got the springs together, got the bushes in them, the shackles. The unknown at the moment is the rear shackle. We've got to sit the springs in the truck and just sort of work out the angle. I think I'm going to have to make up some longer ones. I hadn't mentioned also that my COVID test came back negative. But speaking of COVID and me living in the eastern suburbs of Sydney with the lockdown, it's made it a little bit difficult for me to spend time with Adam in the factory. He's been plugging away there with you know, cleaning up the chassis for the shock towers, cutting off the old front spring hangers, tacking in the bigger ones, the drop ones. So I'll drop these springs off to him in the morning. So that's all for this video. We've got a couple of videos coming up. One of them will be progress on Bullet Truck's new build, the high steer and the springs. And then I'll have the IFS hub upgrade on the 4runner using Tony from Shire's Fabrications hub spaces. I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for watching.